This video is the second week's video and second week first video. Go to the standard primitives in the first create panel and create a box, click and drag and hover your mouse in the upper direction to give it a height. And under the box settings, give the length of 30 and width 30 and height of 100. Then give it a segments under the parameters tab, the same length 3 and height 3. Then next thing, go to the modify panel and on top of the box, add edit poly modifier. Choose edges in the selection tab under edit poly and click on one line, one edge and say loop so that all the connected edges will be selected. And then use the move tool from the top menu and then move it towards the end. And the same thing, choose the other loop on to the opposite side of the edges and move it towards the end, and then choose the top one and the bottom one, those edges, and say loop. All these connected edges of that loop will be selected and moved towards the corners, so create at the end, creating a more space in the central area of that box. Then now rename the edit poly as edit poly adjust edges, say enter after renaming it. On top of that edit poly, add one more modifier, edit poly. In that, choose the under the selection tab, choose the face selection and delete. Select the faces of front and back of that box and delete them. After deleting both of them, choose the edge selection and then click on the bridge to create a surface connecting both of those corners. So it creates a opening in the box finally. Then the next step is rename the edit poly, rename it to edit poly, rename create hole. And then now on top of that edit poly, add one more edit poly and then choose, keeping the edge selection, select the corners once of one side, two edges and say connect. Don't click on connect, just click on the settings of the connect and choose the number of segments needed and choose number of segments and say okay once done. And choose the other two edges and say connect. It will take the previous settings of four divisions and then rename that newly created edit poly to edit poly more edges. And now add one edit poly to it on top of the previous one and keep the polygon selection on and select the two alternative polygons as shown and selecting them, go bottom and under edit polygons choose bridge, and in the bridge settings choose segments, increase the number of segments and add a twist modifier, little bit of twist modifier and increase the little bit of twist negative twist modifier and also increase the taper, and this is the output that we get. And then using the same settings, use the different two other polygons alternatively in the same box, in the same object, choose keeping the Polygon selection on. Choose the two different alternative polygons and use the bridge, which will take the previous settings and connect. And now in the modifier tab, add turbo smooth modifier, which will smoothen all the surfaces, and iterations give the value of 3 or 2, not more than 5. Then clone the objects with keeping it as reference. Now on top of the existing modifiers, add a subdivide modifier and use the size of value existing or increase or decrease it. Add by increasing and decreasing the value of subdivided, the division of edges is differing. And next to that, add a lattice modifier to it, which will drastically change the object and also increase or decrease the value of its radius. The struts are too big in here, so reducing the radius of 0.2 will reduce its values. After reducing the radius of the strut and joint sizes, can choose the sides of the struts, which is 16 as mentioned there. Then increase the segments of the joints in between the struts. Now go to the first box in the modifier tab and increase the height to 150 of that box. All together of the object and the lattice also will get increased to 150. And turn off the first box from the left layer panel. Just uncheck the eye icon. Then add one more edit poly to the second box and then go to the modeling tab. Within the modeling tab, there is a subdivision tab. In the subdivision tab, there is a Tesla settings available. In Tesla settings, go to Tesla settings and in this click on group and say OK. Now again go to the polygon selections and choose some of the polygons, top end polygons of that object. In Tesla settings, choose byte polygons by selecting the top part, and on top of the edit poly, choose lattice and reduce the radius to 0.2 and also the radius of joints to 0.2. And uncheck on in within the parameters under geometry tab, uncheck apply to entire object. Then just select the top part and click on uncheck the apply to entire object and then turn on the lattice so that only lattice is applied to that top part, particular part of the entire object. And by turning on the box 1 from the left panel of the layers, we'll get a box with inside that lattice as well.